You're listening to Robyn Flan's Drummer Interviews, the number one drum radio show in all of Los Angeles,
the world, the galaxy.
Well, hi. It's Robyn Flans with Robyn Flan's Drummer Interviews.
We're back from NAMM. This is Ed. Most of me is here back from NAMM anyway.
Yeah, well, my muscles are still back there.
As mine, I think, with my legs and feet are still in the parking lot. But that's actually what we're going to do tonight. We're just going to give you guys a little post-wrap-up NAMM for those who couldn't attend. We'll give you our impressions, and there's several. Yeah, but people had impressions of us, too, to be fair. So,
and they're not here to tell you, so no, lucky us.
No, they're outside being restrained.
Well, if I have any friends left...
Yeah, we have we actually should probably just start with the trip down there. You know, we're out here in the San Fernando Valley. It's roughly about an hour and a half without traffic all the way to the Anaheim Convention Center, but there was traffic. But there is traffic, which means it was 3 days to get there, and we leave early in the morning so we can be the first ones to to get parking, which is always an issue, and it's you don't really know where you're going to end up parking, but hopefully it's near the convention center or behind it, which actually we were lucky enough to get the first day. Well, the first 3 days actually.
Yeah, and we had to go down there actually the day before the show officially started because it was press day. And press day, well, kind of weird day.
Yeah, press day, Wednesday. What time did that start at like 1 in the afternoon was the actual unveiling, I think. And it was in the...
Unveiling.
Yeah, it was in the...
Like a big deal unveiling.
For us, it was the unraveling. But it was, Wednesday, and they have the... some displays set up in was that the Hilton?
Boy, you're being kind. No,
yeah.
It wasn't in the Hilton.
I'm sorry, what am I thinking? I'm thinking of everything.
Yeah.
We'll get to the Hilton story because that was at the end of the NAMM, but that was priceless, actually.
No, it wasn't in the Hilton. It was in the convention center, but it was right in the lobby of the convention center.
In a pretty limited area. Right.
Teeny little space.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was so small that every time somebody went in the exhibit, somebody else had to leave before we could get in. So, and not to say that it wasn't cool, it was, but being as that we're in the drum, facet of this business, we were looking for, like a lot of drum products and people coming out and sort of displaying what's going to be new at the show. And so we were excited to see all of that.
Well, in their defense, they did warn us that there wouldn't be too much drum product, but we went anyway.
They did not lie.
This is true. There was like 2 things, and one of the booths had like a half a thing.
Yeah. And both of those halves were guitar things, so there you go.
Well, one was a drum head.
Yes, and that I'll tell you what. Actually, the funny thing about it is that the area is pretty small. You have a lot of press people there, and of course, we should just lay this out for these guys as if we're walking them through it. But it's a pretty concentrated area, and a lot of people with cameras, as you can imagine. We had our monopod and the camera and the microphone, the external microphone, and all of that stuff, and the headphones, and so in an area that small, it's really difficult to navigate because there's a lot of people that are trying to do the same thing at the same time, and so we were in the drum area we were in, which was I could be wrong. I want to say Evans, but it was they were showing an Evans drum head, so I think... Yeah,
it was Dario. That's what it was.
Right, Evans,
and so mostly it was picks and straps.
Yeah, picks and straps. I had an Evans drum head, and so it was funny because we were standing so close to the guy, the customer rep that was displaying the products. There was no place to move, and so literally his eyeball was probably 4 feet in diameter on the camera, and I'm trying to back up, without starting a fist fight with everybody else who's behind me trying to do the same thing, and it was there These were all close-ups, extremely.
Yeah, they were, and so that's why we actually didn't put it up because you were like in my. You had the camera at my head.
Yeah, most of these camera shots look like crime scenes because there was wires everywhere and things were roped off. I mean, and it was exciting. Don't get me wrong. We had a blast doing it.
And we got a free cup of coffee.
And not only that, but they had it. They had like finger foods laid out. I think you could get thumbs and pinkies with some sugar and things. But no, it was good and it was nice. We had a great time, just being in the vibe and going down there and doing that because we wanted to report, back to you guys, what you could expect.
All right, so enough about that. So then,
no, but there's more that goes with that leads to
what else?
Well, once we sort of navigated through all of the things that we thought would be interesting, we ended up outside. We walked outside of the exhibit area, and Robyn and I were frequently testing the audio levels of the camera and make sure the shots were good and that the audio was clear and you could hear that. So we were passing headphones back and forth. I'd be wearing the headphones, but the problem was that these are the type of headphones that they have like a wire coming from each cup of the headphone, which means it sort of creates a Y of cord on your chest. So you got two wires to deal with. And at one point, after we got outside the exhibit area, just to let her hear what it sounded like and stuff, a whole series of events started to unfold. When I went to take them off my head and give them to her, she's wearing glasses that she, to see, things up close and whatnot, but they're on a string of cultured pearls, and they got all twisted up in the headphones, and it became literally a wrestling match. And then there was a guy standing behind me where I was trying to figure this out and unwrap everything, and for some reason, he started to talk to me, and I turned around and knocked the glasses off my face. They literally went like 20 feet. I had no idea where they went. And he pointed it out to me, and he was like, they're way over there.
But we couldn't get separated.
No, it was a whole Siamese twin act going on, and it went on for like seriously 8 minutes, just trying to, and here we are going, okay, so we're going to do this, and if this is just a precursor of when the show starts, like tomorrow, which was Thursday through Sunday, it's going to be insane to try to navigate like this.
Was this a sign of things to come? And, well, kind of it was.
Yeah, that happened more than just there that day at press day at the NAMM, so we dealt with that. It got a little bit more, it smoothed out, I should say, probably on the, well, it hasn't smoothed out, and we're still here. Now, it smoothed out basically by the second day. It started to get, we were used to yeah, it was, I didn't say it was perfect, but it was better. But, all right, so that was that day, and we got back, and then the first big day was Thursday. Now, it was Thursday. We had like a rainstorm, and was that Friday?
Yeah, that was Friday. Friday was the storm.
All right, but Thursday, before we get to the storm, but Thursday we left, and then we got down there and parked, and again we lucked out. We got the garage like basically in front of the convention center at the Hilton, which was nice. It was a short walk, and after you walk all day long like that, and you're chasing people down, and
Thursday we got some great interviews.
Yeah. To be honest, because we were using. We're using my iPhone, and it's a little bit of an older model. It's a 5S. It's still cool, and it does a lot of great things. But I was using Filmic Pro, which was a pretty cool software for this type of application. But the thing I didn't understand at the time was that video, audio, and any kind of media files generally they can be huge. The longer you run the camera, the more intensive the size of the output gets. So the megabytes they add up, and I think we shot like 11 interviews / product reviews within that first day, and it all went great. And I was like, wow, this looks really great. We got our thing together. Stuff is sounding good, and that was Wednesday. But Thursday, when we got on the floor, and the internet was pretty interesting because everybody else was using it. That was a different story, and that combined with the software of the program, not everything worked out perfectly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Not everything worked out perfectly. And I just want to back up for a second, because on that Wednesday night, Robyn was also invited to be on a panel, music panel, and it was over at the Hilton.
Yeah, that was with Intertalk Radio, and it was it was a NAMM show sponsored thing with Intertalk Radio. With
Florentino and Jackie Bertoni and some, I don't remember everybody's name on that panel.
Yeah, Terry Woolman and the publisher of Boogie Magazine, and and Scott Robertson.
Right.
And so it was fun. We talked about the state of the industry, and that was fun. And I ran into my dear friend Zorro after that, and that was cool. It was great seeing him. I hadn't seen him in a long time, even though we did a radio show with him, but I hadn't actually seen him face-to-face in a very long time, so that was a great treat.
Yeah, Zorro, and that was one that we filmed, too. Actually, any of the things that we're talking about have made it up to Robyn's YouTube channel, which is just Robyn Flan's Drummer Interviews. It's on YouTube. And there's probably 6 to 10 of these things and a fair amount of audio interviews from the Spreaker radio show that she does. But yeah, so that, we filmed that. Everything was just, as we left Wednesday, real confident. Everything was great. Everything was working, looked good, and we were just sort of getting our, NAMM chops together for Thursday. So that ended well. Now we can get to Thursday, and yes.
Yeah, so Thursday we got back, and the first thing was, what do we want to say about it?
I'm trying to think of after we get in, usually what we do is we would shoot like a little test video out in the hallway just before we go on to the main showroom floor. And obviously for us, it was Hall D 90% of the time. Every now and again we go to another hall, if Ludwig or Pearl, which was upstairs with DW. But for the most part, 98% of the stuff that we videoed and stuff was down in Hall D, as the main drum floor. That's where most of what we did happen. But at a certain point, I started to have issues with the camera. And what would go on is that I would be filming stuff and Robyn would be interviewing, and then I would go to look like in the container of like the Filmic Pro software, and there would not be the film that we just did. It just wouldn't be there. And frantically, we're searching. I mean, we literally sat down and went over this like for an hour and bought terabytes on iCloud and trying to figure out, like, now it's occurring to me that an external hard drive really would have been the thing to get. But I had just planned on posting the videos live from the NAMM show floor, then deleting them off the software, and great, it would have been perfectly great. But we had such a lousy internet connection that was impossible. And of the films we were taking, they weren't loading. We just keep getting error messages, so we didn't have a good connection. So
sometimes we wouldn't even get error messages. Sometimes we'd shoot the entire video and then not be able to find it.
Yeah.
That was the cuckoo thing.
No, and I don't know if anybody else was having those issues, but we were having, this just went on for hours. It's draining to do it. And from the day before, when everything was fine, everything was good, we were posting stuff, not an issue at all. All of a sudden on that day, and a NAMM person or assistant or whatever just said, there's several people complaining about the internet connection. So when we were originally trying to live stream some events, but that never happened because we couldn't get the connection. So our apologies to the few that didn't make it. We still got some good footage, and did the very best we could. But there were just so many issues on that first Thursday, and then Friday we went back.
I was glad that at least I did get some stills with some people whose videos didn't make it up, and it was for those who I didn't get the video's up, at least I did get the information in my head. And, I mean, it was really upsetting to me, a little heartbreaking. But, hopefully at least I did get the information down and onto the Facebook, too. And,
well, I guess the good part of some of that is that of the few this may have happened to, these people have agreed to come on as guests, which is great because all the information will be, disclosed at that time, which would make for a nice interview for the radio show. So, we're looking forward to that. But there were just so many people, and since Robyn's been doing this, the radio cast and the other stuff, met several people that are now following and subscribers and fans and that. So that was a lot of fun. And we were trying to get those guys, on video just so you could sort of meet kind of. So like everybody.
Yeah, it was fun. In fact, I met a couple of people that, have been following me on Facebook and that I'd never gotten to meet face to face. That was just so much fun. I mean, I got to meet Russell Battling. I mean,
yeah,
that was just a kick in the pants. That was just so much fun.
You guys should check him out if you're not aware of him. And I admittedly wasn't at the time, but he had sent us right after the show that night one track of, I guess, a whole track of a Page's, a Richard Page album, the guy from originally Mr. and now with Ringo, on tour with Ringo Starr's All-Star Band, but an amazing drummer.
Yeah, Page's was a great band, the precursor to Mr. and I guess he did their first album, and it's just I loved that band. So, yeah, you should check that out. That a great album, so it was great to get to meet him because he's just such a great supporter. He's always commenting on the shows that I do, and it was such a treat to get to meet him face to face. And Randy Walker, wow! I mean, just to get to say hi and I mean, these are people that I just, it's just such a thrill to get to. I mean, even if it's just a minute, it makes everything that I do worthwhile. There was some friend, Carlos de Guerra. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name correct, but he stopped me and came up to me and said that he's been reading my stuff forever, and it just made my day. It was just
that was funny too, because what was going on at that time is we were over near the snack area of the convention center, which on that aisle are like Aquarian accessories is on that aisle, and you've got some other like hand drum vendors and that kind of thing. So I had actually gotten in line because we were going to get a snack before we started part two, of the afternoon. And when I looked back at you, this guy, well, was obviously hugging you, but to me, you looked like you weren't really certain what was happening. And I
wasn't, because I didn't know who he was, and I kept waiting for him to tell me who he was, kind of, but it was just all a big surprise to me. But he was the sweetest, and it just totally took me aback.
I don't know why these ignorant people would be laughing at a story like that.
It was wonderful. It was really,
it was
really
great. It was
sweet.
Heartwarming, and he was excited, and it was fun. I remember too, because to be honest, when I first started reading Modern Drummer magazine, and I don't know how many years ago this was, it was at least 26, maybe more, 30,
yeah, I'd
32,
say, yeah.
33. But I always thought that Robyn, being that it's a predominantly male-dominated industry, and I just assumed that if you're a writer for a drum magazine, you're probably a drummer, you're probably a guy. And so I didn't...
what a sexist assumption.
I didn't know. But I just assumed that that's what was going on. And I think a friend of mine, actually from Rhode Island, Joe Perfumi, I think he great drummer, and he's still doing it, and he's back home on the East Coast. But I think he was the one that told me he knew you. But I was reading the magazines at that time, and I had my first issue was when Modern Drummer went bi-monthly, and Steve Gadd was on the cover. And at that time, everybody was talking about Steve Gadd, and I think that Modern Drummer had just gone bi-monthly. So I don't know if it was a quarterly magazine, and then every 2 months they were putting out a magazine. But I think Joe Perfumi somehow told me that I hope I'm getting this right, he was a friend of Barry Keane, who I think was the drummer for Gordon Lightfoot at the time, and somehow there was a connection there. That's what I remember. So I guess I'm relating this because you're saying that you didn't know who the guy was hugging you, and was pretty.
And how did you figure out I was a girl?
Well, when we married and had kids,
No.
I was sure.
Okay, all right, but no.
Here, now I get to do that. I was waiting. That's what I was waiting for. Yeah. So, well, no, it was when I had gone to Vegas. I was in a band and I was playing at the Landmark, which is no longer there. But back then, I was playing with a band out of Nashville, and we were splitting the bill with another band from L.A., and I became friends with that drummer, Michael Thomas, and he was from a great band called A.J. Masters. But Michael knew you, and Mike and I hung out, and he said, well, where do you live? I said, well, I live in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and I do this gig full time. He said, if you ever get out to L.A., you got to look up my friend,
I was in Nashville at the time.
No, I understand that, but you were originally from Los Angeles, and he knew you from L.A., not from Nashville. So he said, if you ever get out to L.A. and all this other stuff, and I had gone to Vegas, with Clyde, and that's where I met Mike. And then when Mike went back home and I went back to Nashville, and you were living in Nashville, he gave me your phone number and said, call her and take her out to, dinner or lunch by proxy, like on me. Like, you go ahead and take her out. I think I had your phone number for a year before I actually called you. But the reason I was so nervous about it was because of all the people that you had interviewed. And so that sort of, stifled me from calling,
But
right.
but you knew I was a girl because you had seen me at a Larry London clinic.
Yeah, but I didn't really. I mean, yes, because Larry's. I don't know. I think Larry introduced you. I was at DOG Percussion, and we're getting off the NAMM thing. But anyway, I was at DOG Percussion because Larry London was doing a clinic. It was his store. He and his wife owned it, right, Debbie? They owned DOG, and Larry was with Yamaha at the time, and he was playing this big red candy apple red Yamaha double bass kit, and he was telling great stories. But in the middle of that, he introduced Robyn, who was standing over near the counter. And all of us were kind of interested to know, oh, this is the woman from Modern Drummer magazine. But that was still way before I went to Vegas. So,
well, that's what I was trying to get you to say,
Yeah.
was that. And then I was going to tell you about the Sabian booth.
oh, the thing that we just shot? You mean? I don't know how you're going to get to that. But.
Well, because I was thinking about Larry London and the Sabian booth.
Well, yeah, but we'd have to, if you're going to go forward, we'd have to set that shot up. And it's not that there was anything wrong with the shot, but when we were at NAMM, I just said, hey, we saw these, there was a booth. It was part of the Sabian thing, but yet it wasn't in the main area where that cymbal, they have a cymbal wall. The thing is like 100 feet tall, and they've got all their cymbals on this wall display. And but across from it, they had like these 8-foot tall marching figures. And I said to Robyn, this is really unique looking. Let's just take a video of it and just talk about it for a minute. But what she started doing was she started talking about Larry London, and the visual didn't match anything. It was just like I just got into this mood. I don't know what. I guess I don't know. I just started walking down memory lane thinking about Larry in the Sabian booth, and sometimes that's where my mind goes when I go to the NAMM show. Yeah, and the story was great, but the problem was it was like it'd be like her telling the same story, only hang gliding from the back of a boat on the Atlantic or something. It's just like the visuals it's not matching up. This isn't that kind of a mood here. It's sort of quirky but interesting. But so she's just started to tell a story completely contrary to the surroundings. And so anyway.
So we didn't put that video up. But
yeah, because you'd all be saying the same thing. What the hell does this mean? It means nothing. It means do a better, greater drug. That's what it means. Or don't eat so much chocolate. I don't know what it means. But it was fun, and we went on to do other the interviews. We'd always look for like a place that wasn't in the middle of everything, and so we could get good video of the guys and hopefully an interesting background. And I think it was shortly after that we ran into Mike Fasano over at Remo, which was good because I haven't seen him in years.
And he has like a life-size poster of himself up.
He does. He's on the wall. I guess it's the Wall of Fame that Remo has now, and it's a great picture. It's very colorful, and it's Mike. It's all attitude, but it's great. And he was endorsing their Silent Stroke practice pad, which I guess is sort of the standard Remo pad, but the head is of a quieter.
Yeah, I guess he
substance.
helped develop it, so I'm happy for him. I'm very happy for him.
He was funny, and he thinks I look like his grandfather. So
yeah.
I got to see those pictures of Michele. I think he said his grandfather's
very,
name.
very sweet, very sweet. And and another interesting guy we ran into, Michael Dubin.
Mike Dubin. I've known Mike for years, ever since I had Drummer's Woodshed back in the day. Mike was one of the first regulars over there, and had since, and at that time, become a great friend. And we stay in touch, and not as much, but Mike was at the show, and it was great to see him. He's working a lot with Alex Acuna, and he's doing a lot of great. I don't think he'd mind if I said this, but he's a martial artist, and he's
they're doing martial arts together, he and Alex. Well, he's going to come on the show and tell us what he's doing.
It was interesting, actually. We went to the I want to say, I hope I say this right, the School of No Way, which is like, these guys teach martial arts over there. They're all great instructors, but they don't necessarily subscribe to one rigid way of teaching. But the deal is that Mike has a whole percussion set up over there. So he and I had gone out to get lunch one day, and after it was over, he said, "Hey, let's go over to the school, man, and we'll play for the kids," which I'd never done. And he's got congas, timbales, and various shakeres and shakers and bells and that kind of thing. And then there's like a 4-piece. It's either a Gretsch or Ludwig, I'm not sure. And we would trade off. I'd play percussion, hand percussion. Mike would play the drum set, and we'd do back and forth. And the guys work out to it. It was very interesting to see. That in action, because rhythmically it was in sync with what was going on, and I guess that becomes the sort of the audio landscape for how they move. So I had a great time. It was an interesting experience. But yeah, we ran into him at NAMM, and he's going to come on and talk a little more in depth about that.
We also saw Jordan Cohen, who's been with the Blue Man Group forever.
Yes,
and that was fun. That was a really neat thing to see him, because it's been tough trying to sort of coordinate time with him. And Al Pahanish Jr. I have known Al. Well, when I met him originally, he was Al 3 from Power Man 5000. And are there 3 of him?
He'd probably tell you there were at some points in his life. Now he's just Al. To me, he's Al. But what a great guy. What a fantastic drummer. And he's a music composer. And he's teaching now in Arizona. Pretty heavily involved in the School of Rock. So he's really working with kids, and he's inspiring them to play.
Although he said it's not just kids. There's also somebody, he said, 73 years old.
He was talking about me. I signed up. And so he was teaching me. No, I wouldn't doubt that. And he's got the aptitude to teach like that. But he was, it was great to see him. We ran into him at the Vader booth. He and Jordan are good friends and have known each other for a long time. And I think Stephen Wolf was there too, although we didn't see him.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Shoot.
I think I saw pictures circulating of him at NAMM at different events or a couple of different things.
Well, that's a drag. Okay.
So shout out to Stephen Wolf.
I would have liked to have met him in person.
Yeah. But I believe he was there. And we had that day, who else? There were others that we were
well, I did get a minute to hug my dear old friend John Good of DW, and he's agreed to come on the show as a guest, and so I'm looking forward to that. And saw Eddie Taduri, whose video is up on Facebook, and that's just a little precursor as to what we're going to talk about on the show. We're going to do a full-on show deal with him.
Yeah, and again, any of these things that we're talking about, you can just look at them at YouTube. They're not really long. I think the longest one is maybe 4 minutes, and that, I believe, was Greg Bissonette. And we went over and talked to Greg and Tony Pia, who was formerly with the Doobie Brothers, who's still doing a lot of stuff. And Greg, of course, they were at the Dixon drum booth, both of those guys. I actually ran into Jay Rubin, who I haven't seen. He's the tech for Doan Perry on the Jets Hotel gig, and I haven't seen Jay in years, but he looked great. And it was fun to spend a few minutes and tell some jokes.
Oh, and I got to meet Buddy Gibbons, who's also a big supporter of what we do here at Robyn Flan's Drummer Interviews. Buddy he writes and plays music for TV sports, so that's a pretty interesting thing. And also got to see Peter Erskine, who promised me he will be a guest on the show, so I'm really looking forward to that. You know, I got to congratulate him for his Grammy nomination. So
for Dr.
Dr.
So I think they'll. And you said there's an album, the follow-up.
Yep, they're working on a second Dr.
So I guess this would be two of So hang on, there's got to be something here. I don't know what it's that deserves two of those. But that, and of course, the unbelievable Steve Smith.
And my wonderful friend Danny Serafin.
Oh, right, who had won an award, or was given an award of appreciation.
It was an award for being the for the longest alive Zildjian endorser.
That isn't how they presented it to him, is it? You're the longest alive Zildjian.
I'm not sure I said that right.
Yes, I'm quite sure you didn't say that right. The longest alive, and here you go. Because how do you put that on an award? That's a little disjointed, isn't it?
Well,
longest living, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is obviously very cool, and it was fun. That was in the Zildjian, right in the Zildjian booth. They actually did that. They always have that back room. Not really, you can see it, but it's behind the counter, and all the big guys.
Speaking of Zildjian, we saw John DeChristopher, formerly of Zildjian. He's always, seeing John is always just a treat.
I think John DeChristopher is sort of like the guy in Wizard of Oz. He runs the whole drum industry. And if you could pull the curtain back, there's John standing there.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right. He's my hero.
Such a great personality and a good guy, and always tending to other people, meeting with them and inspiring. And it was a lot of fun. And actually, he was on the show 5 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's just one of those people. Everybody loves the guy, so I can totally see why he'd be successful in a business like this, because at best, it's not always, not everybody succeeds, but he's that guy that everyone loves, loves to see him around and work with him and stuff. And
I also saw a former colleague of mine from Modern Drummer, Billy Amendola.
Yes.
And that was kind of an old reunion. Got to meet his wife, Chris, who I'd never met before, and also saw a wonderful woman who runs sessions by the name of Jules Follett. She's been extremely wonderful to me, and I want to say just a shout-out to her. She's a pretty fantastic lady.
She could be a guest, couldn't she?
Jules? Yeah.
Sure.
She absolutely could be, if she ever found the time. I think she's one of those dynamos that barely has time to write an email. But yes, I should reach out to her.
And plus, along with Billy Amendola, Michael Haid was there, and we hung out with him for a few minutes.
Yeah, he's an old friend.
Old friend. Looks great, man. He looks, he's in top physical condition. He just looks great. It's really, he's embracing his elder statesmanhood. Is that a thing? Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
I'm ribbing him because he's, I think, maybe 1 year older than me.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but man, he looks great. So,
and you know who was great to see? Sound man extraordinaire.
Oh,
Denny Mac.
Denny Mac. No, Denny Mac is. It's funny because one of the first bands I was in. Denny runs sound for here in it was a lot in Orange County, but he was and we toured with Johnny Lee, the country singer, and Denny was the sound engineer for Johnny Lee. But he went on to do so many things, and I think it was. God, wasn't it last year? What band did he sit in with because Ainsley couldn't make it?
Oh, yeah.
Ainsley, what band?
Shoot.
I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was Boston, but I'm not. Somehow Ainsley Dunbar was supposed to do the gig. He couldn't make it. His passport wasn't in order. He was having difficulty getting to LAX, and we're flying over, and I guess the guys had known Denny for so many years. Were like, why don't you just get up and do it? And he did, and he sounded great. He knocked it out. He sounded amazing. So he was over at the Hilton, running sound for the
NAMM
for the various bands.
Yeah.
And for those who weren't at the show, a really cool thing happened that night over at the Hilton as well, where you had done the press panel on Wednesday. There was a solo artist, a solo guitar player, a singer and guitar player who was playing, and Stevie Wonder came in the room and got up and sang Superstition with him and just killed it. And that's all over you can see that on the internet. That was a post that happened a few days ago. I'm sure that guy was out of his mind because he would never have expected something like that. But that is the cool thing about NAMM. You never know. You could be in any room at any time, and some monumental event like that happens. And there was no band. It was just the guitar player.
And if those things happen, you can count on my missing them.
Yeah. We're only reporting it to you because we weren't there. I think we were there. We just weren't in the room because, when things happen like that, they're spur of the moment. And
just like I missed Vinny at the show.
Yeah, Vinny and Rick Marotta.
And Gadd.
And Steve Gadd.
Yep.
Yeah.
I missed all three of those guys. And so,
But the cool thing was, at least the one we were in the room for was Omar Hakim because he was up at the Pearl booth. And he sounded great. But, of course, the room was packed. You couldn't get to him.
And he, although he did say hello and he was signing a real long line of autographs, he had to run really fast to get somewhere after that. And he wished he could have done a video, but he couldn't. He needed to run. But we did have a chance to just say hi and bye. And and I did get to say hi to Liberty DeVito, who sounded fantastic with Ronnie Spector, by the way.
With?
And I did see Hal Blaine for a minute. And that was, it's always a treat.
But, of course, Liberty and Hal played together with Ronnie Spector outside of the front entrance of NAMM. And that was on Friday night. And, it was great because for as many people that were there, they had these huge video monitors that you could see even if you were, like we were, just stuck on the sidewalk. But they sounded amazing. And Hal sounds great, and Liberty has the energy of a 20-year-old. It's amazing. The guy he's on fire.
Liberty's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. He's amazing. And, and seeing Roy Burns was sweet.
Chris Brady, Roy Burns.
Chris Brady. And NAMM, that's what NAMM is. It's I think Zorro put it best when he said it's like a high school reunion over and over again. It's just, that's what NAMM is.
Yeah, and some people act that way. It's great. It's great to see that. It's no, it's not. It's just when you're carrying stuff, if you got cameras and video and tripods and monopods and bags and everything, it's just like sometimes and I don't fault any particular age group. It's just people in general. We're trying to navigate through people, and you're getting bounced around and that kind of thing. But it's all good. It's part of the excitement. People get caught up, and But it was interesting. Actually, on the Eddie Tidori video, and I was noticing this today, that while you were doing the interview, there was a guy who was sort of wanting to come over to that area and try stuff. I think he picked up some claves and he was playing those, and he kept eyeing the conga drums that I was leaning on. I was thinking, well, this could turn into something really good. But he, I guess he thought better of it, and he kind of turned around. But yeah, it was great. It was so much fun, and there's always so much going on. And even though you're exhausted when it's over, it's always a good kind of tired. You got to see a lot of people, and after you get out of the show, you can't wait to get over to McDonald's and have that 2 cheeseburger meal, which I'm not a good thing to report to anybody. But I'm better. I only did that because we had no choice. Actually, we had In-N-Out, if I remember, with Teddy Paul. And let me tell the story that at the end of was it Saturday, because Teddy, the bass player that I work with, came with us, and at the end of the day, 6 o'clock, the NAMM, 5:45, they start shutting the lights off and everything. But when you had mentioned Denny Mac earlier, our friend Teddy wanted to go see Denny at the Hilton. But I'm thinking, I thought that it was at the Marriott. So neither one of these two is saying anything to me, so I just walk over to the Marriott. They follow me, and I bring them into the room that Robyn had done the press junket at on Wednesday, because I thought, okay, he's running sound, he's over at the Marriott, and I know exactly where the soundboard is. I'll take you right over there so we can see him. And so we got over there and circled the room, and the room was packed, and it's like, nope, he's not here. So we walked back out, and we were so tired, and our feet were hurting and everything. We all just sat down on this bench for I want to say 20 minutes, which is a long time.
20 minutes, I'll never get back again.
20 minutes, and we're just sitting there, and Ted, the other guy, speaks up. He goes, so do we still have time to go see Denny? I'm like, well, what do you mean? We just went through the Marriott. He's not... We just looked at him.
No, actually, I think I was the one who said, wait a minute, this isn't the Hyatt.
Or the Hilton.
The Hilton.
Yeah, you were the other guy. Yeah, I remember.
No, I said, wait a minute, this isn't the Hilton.
Right. This ain't the Hilton. And so we're all looking at each other like, well, why are we here? And no one said anything. So eventually we walked over to the Hilton. Lo and behold, there's Denny, and it was so great to see the guy, and he's such an excellent sound man and drummer, as we were saying before. It was such a great experience. We learned a lot for us, because now we're going to, do the video reporting, we're going to do some. I don't know if it's going to be live streamed to YouTube, but the next interview Robyn does, we'll have some video of that here, so you guys are sort of joining us in the little studio we have set up here, which is kind of cool. And then eventually hope to do a few in-studio interviews, and we probably will do that with Mike Dubin, because he's local to LA, and whoever else is local to LA can come here, and we can just shoot the video and then put that up. So that'll be a lot of fun. And eventually, if you're a sponsor or a drum company and you want to get involved with us, please do, because we'd be glad to promote you. It helps us promote the show here, and to bring attention to your product as well. So we're sorry for the shameful plug, but why not? I mean, this is a cool service, and it's free to do this. I mean, for you guys to listen, and we're happy to do it, but we can't afford our pockets on so deep, But so, anyone listening that wants to get involved like that, send us an email. You can send it to ourflans@aol.com, or probably that's the best way to start, initiate, and we can see what's cooking, and we'd love to work with you. So get in touch with us on that. And I think, unless you've got something, are you remembering anything else, or anybody else?
My brain cells are still fried.
So they're NAMMed out.
They are.
And that happens, yeah.
And probably will be until next January.
Yeah. But, we've still got a few videos to post, and we've got some still photos, too, of some cool things, and we'll definitely put those up. But the video stuff you're going to be able to find, because it'll be sitting in an archive on the YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe and be friends with us because we'd really like to keep this thing going. There's some interesting things we've already been sort of offered, and so and to just keep the maybe the live drum radio cast going and some other events, and to bring guys in the studio who can to play for you over video. I think it'd be really, really cool. So we're looking forward to be able to do that.
And I would just want to say thanks to everybody for just supporting all of this, and that I love this, so thanks.
Yes, and speaking of which, I just want to, there's a couple of shout outs here. Lance Allen and also the Dewar Riders who were there, who we've met crossing in a hall looking for an external hard drive, but they and Joe Campbell, who's great. Joe's a great guitar player who I've worked with in the Johnny Lee thing, and he's a great funk and R&B player and singer, and the guy can do it all. He's in Orange County.
And my trademark attorney, Evan Kent.
Evan Kent, who's
protects me in all things intellectual property.
Yes. He does, and he actually made 3 full-length feature films with us in a matter of 2 days. But he was really cool about it, and he's a great guy and very knowledgeable, obviously. And it was fun to see him there. And you sort of forget that part of the NAMM show because it's all product-based. But he provides a real necessary service, trademark protection. I've exhibited at NAMM shows, and I can tell you some of the nastiest fights I've ever seen were from people borrowing ideas and not being protected.
That's right.
That is such that's the worst.
So if anybody needs anything like that, you hit me up because he's the best.
Who does he work with? He's Silverberg and NUP, and there's another one. And
and NUP. But I can get you that information, and he's worked with some of the greatest music people, and he's a music lover. I mean, that's the other thing, and he's a Beatle freak, and he knows his stuff. He was there for Rickenbacker, so he knows everything.
Yeah. No, he was great, and that, like I said, that's a necessary thing. Songwriters and people that are doing products and trademarks and patent things that you need to be protected when you enter the business, because always at NAMM there's always a few companies that are brand new or exhibiting for the first time, and whenever there's an idea that's really hot, that's the first thing that gets noticed, is if you're protected. And if you're not protected, you get to watch somebody else sell your stuff, and that's
right. You get screwed.
That's not a good feeling. No. I have trademark protection on what I do, but it's but there's other people now that are coming out with stuff that I've been doing for 14 years at this point. So it just keeps it in your backyard, which is a cool thing.
Yep.
So I don't know. I know we've got a couple of potential Peter Erskine, certainly Eddie Tadori.
Yep. And they'll be soon. So you got to just keep listening, keep looking at Facebook, and I will.
Well, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which would be the easiest thing to do, then we will basically put up a video or at least an audio of what's going to be going on, so you don't miss anything. And all of the interviews that get done here are also available on demand. So even if you can't hear the live radio cast when we actually do it, it's okay, because the file will be sitting on Spreaker.com/RFDI, which I think now there are 25 interviews, anywhere from Steve Smith to Greg Bissonette to Danny Serafine to Danny Gottlieb to, God, I can't think of everybody, but there's some great ones, Steve Smith, and all of that is on there. And you can play those and share them with your friends, and that's how we get the word out. And we're building quite a database here of people that are following along. And that's great, and that only tells us that you're enjoying it. So we're going to keep going forward with it. And I guess we're not out of time, but I think we're out of stuff to say. I think. So
we're gonna cut you loose.
Yeah, we're not even gonna bore you with an outro song. We'll just cut it off. But we will be back, and if you want to, you can always email us at info@robinflansdrummerinterviews.com, and if you just send us your email, we can put you on a list like we have certain people already, and then when we go to do the interview, we can send you an email of what time and who the guest artist is and when it's live and all the details. So just go ahead and do that. If you just drop us your email, and we won't abuse you. We're not going to try to sell you a bunch of products and stuff, but, we're just going to let you know when things are happening. Robyn's given me this thing, and it's great because she hates trying to promo stuff, so it gets left up to me. You're the one that thought we were where? What hotel did you think we were at?
Oh, shush.
The Stouffer Wailea.
All right. Okay. We love you.
Yes. Let me get this thing back here, and I will. Can we do this?
Yay!
It was fun.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
And we'll catch you next time.
Yes.